Is it okay to get flowers or smaller plants at box stores or nurseries? What are your thoughts on this either way? I would say, sure, yeah, you can totally do that. The benefit of getting things at a box store, it is cheaper. Oftentimes, it is going to be less expensive. Secondly, they're often flowering immediately. So if you need some bang for your buck, you just planted a food forest and you need color. You just need it to look alive, because a 3-gallon fruit tree doesn't always look gorgeous. So sometimes you need the flowers, you need purple coneflower, or you need Angelina, or you need verbena, or something to make it look pretty so you engage with it better. Yeah, I would say that's an okay scenario to do that in. Things that I would keep in mind now, first and foremost, is what is actually going to be in those plants, in the soil, will end up in your soil. So if they're using chemicals and synthetic fertilizers and all those sorts of things, that is going to end up into your soil. So that is something to consider. I myself am a cancer survivor. I don't do synthetics. So that's challenging for me. So the other thing to consider is now, not only do we have synthetics to worry about in the fertilizers, but also those plants may not be giving you what you think that they're giving you. So in our plant world, we're hybridizing for a lot of things. Now, that doesn't mean genetic modification. That's where you get into the cells and you change out chromosomes and, different strains, and you substitute it with like part of a fish into a plant. And they are doing that in different corns and mostly like mass commercial crops, not really in flowers. They're also hybridizing for bigger, better blooms and more consistent blooms. Here's what we're finding. I was talking to my florist the other day because I like to have fresh cut flowers on the table and I like to support local businesses. So I really like the downtown florist in Crescent City. Great to support her. So I go in and get some fresh flowers. And we were talking a couple weeks ago about how a lot of roses now don't smell anymore. And I asked her, why is that I buy roses now and you don't smell them like you used to? Is it like my allergies have changed or I just don't smell them? And she goes, nope, it's because we're hybridizing them and we're growing these new roses that are meant for bigger, tighter blooms that will last longer. They're not bred for their fragrance anymore. Now, likewise, box stores are blooming for a certain color or a certain tight bloom or a clumping variety, and it doesn't spread as much. It doesn't spread out. Let me use the native blanket flower as an example. You can buy from the store a blanket flower, and it just says blanket flower. Now, when you grow that next to a known wild harvested native, there's a lot of differences. The one from the box store stays very tight, very compact, blooms that are much shorter, and they bloom a long time. Now, what's weird is when they go to seed, they don't spread. Why is that? Because the seeds are sterile. The other thing that I've noticed, and that's not all the time, I'm saying a lot of times, the seeds are sterile. They're not grown to reproduce, they're grown for that plant to give the most bang for the buck. Here's the other thing. The nectar is often significantly less than the wild harvested or wild seed grown native. So the bees and butterflies are not getting the nectar that they could be. They're still visiting the plant, but they're not getting the high quality nectar sources that they would be from the wild one. So I was looking the other day at a blanket flower that I had bought some from a box store and some from Green Isle Gardens, which I absolutely love. It's seed-grown natives from all over the state of Florida. And I was looking at the one from Green Isle Gardens, and they're a lot longer, wispier plants, and they're spreading everywhere. That one is 1 year old. The other one is still 2 years old, small, compact, continuous blooms, has not spread at all. So I think those are some things to keep in mind when you buy from a box store. is understand what you're getting. You're getting a plant that has been bred for the blooms, for the longevity, for that specific color. It may not have the nectar, it may not have the phytonutrients, it might not have the terpenes, it may not be as medicinal in there. So you've got to understand what you're getting. But if you need bang for your buck, sometimes, yeah, it is worth it to throw in a couple Penta, or Pentas, in there just to give you some instant bang for your buck. I would say for me, I try to lean seed-grown natives forward because I know how that supports the natural wildlife in the ecosystem. I can see it with my own eyes. When I see that plant naturally spreading and going to seed, it wants to produce life. You know what I mean? Isn't it weird to you that now we buy a watermelon and there's no seeds? Like there's no seeds. Or you get the watermelon, you try to plant the seeds and it doesn't produce a watermelon. It produces a green plant that tries to do a watermelon and then it dies. It's strange that our plants that we're buying mass scale no longer support life and want to produce life. So now for the sixth question. This is going to be a kind of a fun case study. So the question was in particular to their yard, very specific to their yard. They had a 25 by 25 area. They had a stationary chicken coop in the middle, faced a certain direction, that sort of thing. Now, let me preface with this. In Patreon, I do mentorship. I want to teach you a pattern, and then you can apply that pattern to your own individual concept. There are certain things, hey, there's something wrong with my chicken, with my cow, with this plant. Yep, we can do all those things in Patreon. I don't offer free designs in Patreon. That is something that I do charge for. This is my full-time job. I am a permaculture designer and teacher. But what I would like to do is take the general question and answer this in a way that any of you will be able to apply this to your own unique situation and scenario.